Welcome to Romanticism with Daisy and Kristen. Samuel Taylor Coleridge,
the original emo kid.
He was born in 1772
And died in 1834.
alone because he was an emo kid and no one likes him.
Yeah.
He grew up feeling rejected by his mother because he was ugly.
And his older brother beat him, which caused him to feel insecure.
He was alone and no one liked him.
After his papa died, he got sent away to school.
And then he was just completely isolated from his family. And I'm pretty sure nobody at school liked him either. He probably smelled weird. Coleridge met Wordsworth and wrote a series of poems called Lyrical Ballads. Emo hair flip. And it opens with The Rime of the Ancient Mariner! Woo!
The poem came from a friend's description of a dream that had to do with a shipwreck.
Unfortunately, Coleridge was not on the shipwreck, so we still have to learn about this poem that goes on for approximately 30 billion pages.
Don't over-exaggerate. It's 29. It's too many.
Wordsworth helped him out with a few lines and the plot idea of the poem.
What a little cheater. He didn't even do his own work.
Plagiarism!
Big 0 in Miss Bell's class.
It's about a mariner, which means a sailor, and he came to this wedding and he starts talking to these random people. He just randomly starts talking to them. Like a hobo comes up and just talks to these random people and is like, "Do you want to hear the tale of the rhyme of the ancient mariner?" And so these people just listen to him because I guess he's crazy.
Because the wedding was that boring.
They're afraid he's going to kill him or something.
Yeah.
So he talks about the events and the ghosts and stuff
That he sees on his journey.
The word in the title, rhyme, is spelled R-I-M-E, not the correct way, which is bothering me, because it's the archaic spelling for, it's archaic, it just is.
For a rhyme, but it also means cold, which, you know.
And
Yeah.
supposedly the boat was like in the frost whenever it got shipwrecked, so
It's a homophone.
it was cold. So the cold of the ancient mariner. That's what it should have been called.
He called ghosts and creepy things invisible natures. Because he believes there's a difference between the real world and with the, temporary hallucinations and the spiritual world.
He crazy!
Which, has actual ghosts. But like the mariner, he wants the readers to try to navigate.
Compass. You use it for navigation. Cool.
From the real world to the spiritual world and understand the differences between them. Now, he tells the story to a wedding guest, and the wedding guest wants to, be all up in the party and stuff that takes place in the real world. But the mariner's mind is in the spiritual world.
Because he's a nutcase.
And as he tells the story to the wedding guest takes a glimpse into the mind of the mariner's memories along the journey.
So the mariner is telling his story, and he sees this albatross, right? And he's like, "Oh my God, it's an albatross!" So he shoots the albatross.
Bang!
Hold on, 1 second. Bang! Albatross is dead. And it's symbolism for the spirit world, because when the albatross dies in the spirit world, it becomes a part of the real world. And when it's part of the real world, things are easier to understand. Now, one of the most famous lines of the poem is when the mariner says, "Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink," as illustrated by this beautiful piece of art right here.
Lovely, Kristen. Lovely.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. Basically, what it means is that sometimes we're surrounded by the things we want, but we can't have it. Like sailors are surrounded by salt water, but they're thirsty and they can't drink salt water.
Because if you drink salt water, you will die. You will die. You will die. You will be like, that guy over there, dead.
Dead.
Imprisonment seems to be what this part of the poem is mainly about. Because while the sailors die and their souls go up to the great beyond and stuff, the mariner's soul doesn't. He's pretty much trapped in a living hell. And, as you can see, it's like jail. Because you're not dead, but you're imprisoned. Yeah. So anyway, this is why his eye glitters. He's an emo kid too. Yeah, it glitters because you see, your eye is like the window to your soul, and so your soul is like up against your eye, like, oh, look at everybody, I want to get up, but oh no, you can't. So instead, you just glitter. So,
if you have a glittery eye, you have a hellbound soul trapped inside your body. True story. In parts 4 through 7, the mariner appears to be saved because it starts to rain and he can pray again. But he's still miserable because he is haunted by the memory of the dead sailors.
Sucks.
He still has his glittery hell eye going, which is not a good look.
That sucks too.
Yeah. But Coleridge is supposedly the mariner.
No way!
Yahweh! And he has to learn how to balance his imagination, which is the spirit world. And his imagination is caused by opium, but we'll get to that later.
Opium?
We'll talk about it later, Daisy. He has to learn how to balance his imagination, the quote-unquote spirit world, with the real world, and not question their differences and classifications. So we have reached the end of the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Like Coleridge's poem, The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, his other famous poem, Kubla Khan, he was Asian, was also inspired by a dream because, Coleridge was high on opium.
Opium?
He was prescribed opium as a painkiller, and apparently he had a lot of pain to kill because he got addicted to it.
Because he was emo?
Because he was emo, and that's what emos do. So he went to sleep, and he had this crazy dream about this beautiful garden, and he woke up and he was like, holy crap, that was awesome! So he starts writing, and then some fool comes in and interrupts him, so the poem's technically not finished. Coleridge pretty much writes the entire poem about opium.
What's opium?
Opium is from a poppy, and it grows in Asia, which is why he wrote about Kubla Khan, because Kubla Khan was Asian.
Oh!
So he describes his garden, poppies, opium poppies, grow in gardens in Asia, and so he describes the garden very well because he's all like opium. Woo, opium. And he talks about this lady in this poem, right?
Right.
Well, turns out the lady, he loves her because she's supposed to symbolize opium.
Wow.
This dude was a total druggie. And he, pretty much just goes on for a couple of stanzas. He's like talking about this cool garden and this cool dome and palace. And
But he's really talking about how cool opium is?
opium, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So pretty much it was like an ode to opium. And it also mentioned Xanadu. Xanadu!
She's probably high on opium.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Romanticism with Daisy and Kristen.